day students, in today's class we'll see about offer. This topic comes in unit 2 of business law. I hope by now everybody would have a clear understanding about what is law. Law is nothing but a set of principles recognized and applied by the state in the administration of justice. So it is very important for a common man to have knowledge about certain legal principles so that when he enters into a contract with another party, it would be helpful for him in solving the conflicts. Moving on to offer. An offer is nothing but it is willingness of a person to do something to another. Here there is an example where there are two parties, party R and party S. Party R is making a clear offer to party S stating that he'll sell his bike for rupees 20,000. So party R is making an offer to party S. Let us see some related terms to offer. The person making the offer is known as the offerer, proposer or promiser. The person to whom the offer is made is called offeree or proposee. When the offeree accepts the offer, he is called acceptor or promisee. So students, kindly remember all these terms which will guide you through the whole unit 2. Moving on to the next topic, how an offer is made. An offer can be an express offer or implied offer or specific offer or general offer. Express offer, as the name indicates, an offer can be expressly made through words written or spoken. Implied offer is nothing but it is implied from the conduct of the parties. Specific offer is made to a person in specific. General offer is made to world at large. Now let us see the essential elements of offer which makes the contract valid. First rule says that offer must be capable of being accepted and giving rise to legal relationship. In the previous example which we saw, there were two parties, party R and party S, and party R wishes to sell his bike to party S. So by entering into contract here, it creates a legal relationship where party R becomes the offerer and party S becomes the offeree. Okay, so it has to give rise to legal relationship. Going on to the second rule, terms of offer must be definite, unambiguous and certain. Let me explain this with an example. Let us consider the same example. Two parties, party R and party S. Party R is making an offer that he'll sell his bike to party S. But now there is a critical situation. The critical situation is party R has 3 bikes and he has not mentioned which bike he is willing to sell to party S. So it is not definite here. He is not certain about what he is going to sell. So this should not be the case. Now the third rule is the offer must be distinguished from declaration and invitation. Listen students, here a declaration is not an offer as well as an invitation is also not an offer. So there should be a clear mention whether it is a declaration or invitation. Let me tell you what is a declaration. Declaration means that an offer will be made or invited in future and not that offer is made now. For example, let me tell you, a father wrote to his would-be son-in-law that his daughter would have a share of what he left. This is a declaration which would be done in future. Next, invitation. I'll tell you what an invitation is with an example. A shopkeeper has displayed products in his shop by marking the prices above the products. That is an invitation to the people to buy the product. He's just making an invitation to the people to buy the product. So it is an invitation and it is not an offer. So display of price above the product is not an offer. It is only an invitation to the common public to buy the product. It is an invitation to the common public to buy the product from the shopkeeper. So it is not an offer. Next, moving on to the fourth rule. Offer must be made with a view to obtain the asset of the other party. So always it has to be made with a view to obtain the assent of another party. Sixth rule says that offer should not contain a term of non-compliance of which may be assumed to the amount of acceptance. So this should not be the case. For example, let me tell you, Cannot say that if acceptance is not communicated by certain time, the offer would be considered as accepted. So this should not be this case. Moving on to the seventh rule, a statement of price is not an offer. So we saw it in the previous points. In third point itself, we saw that a statement of price is only an invitation to the other person to make an offer. It is not an offer. Invitation is not an offer. So statement of price is only an invitation and it is not an offer. So we'll have to consider, we must know all these rules before making an offer. There are certain special terms with respect to offer. Let us see it one by one. First one is tender. A tender is a response to an invitation to offer. It can be a definite offer or a standing offer. A definite offer is when tenders are invited for supply of goods. Each tender submitted is an offer. Next one is standing offer. When goods and services are required over certain specific period, a trader may invite tenders as standing offer. It is also called as continuing offer. Next important term we should know is cross offer. Cross offer is not an offer at all. Here, there are two parties who make identical offers. They make identical offers, and here only offerer is present and there is no offeree because both the parties are making offer. Let me tell you with an example. Consider two parties, party A and party B. Party A is a large company, party B is a small company. Now party A is telling that they want to acquire party B. Party B is telling that they want to be the part of party A. So both are making offer here. None of them are accepting. So it is not a offer here. It is cross offer. It is not at all a contract. Now let us see, when does an offer come to an end? So an offer can be withdrawn or revoked by the following ways. First way is by communication of notice of revocation by the offerer. So anytime before the acceptance, the offerer can revoke his offer. Second one is by lapse of time. If the offer is not accepted within the prescribed time, the offer can be withdrawn. Third point says that by non-fulfillment by the offeree of a condition precedent to acceptance. So in case if the offeree has not fulfilled any condition set by the offerer, then the offer can be withdrawn. Fourth point says that by death of offerer. So before entering into contract, in case if the offerer has passed away, then the offer comes to an end. Next point says that if counter offer is made. So in case if any counter offer is made by the offeree, then offer comes to an end. Counter offer is nothing but any modification in offer. So in case if any modification is made by the offeree, then the offer comes to an end. Sixth point says that if an offer is not accepted according to the prescribed mode. So while entering into the contract, the offeree has to accept the offer in the mode specified by the offerer. So in case if he is not following all those conditions, then offer comes to an end. Seventh point says that if the law is changed. So depends upon the government. In case if there is sudden policy change, then we cannot do anything about it. So in case if that is the situation, then the offer comes to end. Now moving on to rejection of offer. An offeree may reject the offer anytime. So rejection of offer can be in an express manner or implied manner. Express in the sense either by words or through either by words written or spoken, he can reject the offer. Implied in the sense, in case if the offeree is making a counter offer, in case if he is placing any condition, then the offer will come to an end. So I hope now you all have a clear understanding about what is offer. If you have any queries, you can post in the comment section below.